effeminate, does he not? And I don't like that. It makes men so very attractive. Cecily, Mamma, whose views on education are remarkably strict, has brought me up to be extremely short-sighted. It is part of a system. So do you mind my looking at you through my glasses?
Oh, not at all, Gwendolyn. I'm very fond of being looked at.
You're here a short visit, I suppose?
Oh, no. I live here.
Really? Your mother, no doubt, or some female relative of advanced years resides here also?
Oh, no. I have no mother, nor in fact any relations.
Indeed.
My dear guardian, with the assistance of Miss Prism, has the arduous task of looking after me.
Your guardian?
Yes, I'm Mr. Worthing's ward.
Oh, it is strange you never mentioned to me that he had a ward. How secretive of him. He grows more interesting hourly. I am not sure, however, that the news inspires me with feelings of unmixed delight. I am very fond of you, Cecily, and I have liked you ever since I met you. But I am bound to state that now that I know that you are Mr. Worthing's ward, I cannot help expressing a wish you were, well, so much older than you seem to be, not quite so alluring in appearance. In fact, if I may speak candidly.
Pray do. I think that whenever one has anything unpleasant to say, one should always be quite candid.
Well, to speak with perfect candor, Cecily, I wish that you were fully 42 and more than usually plain for your age. Earnest has a strong, upright nature. He's the very soul of truth and honor. Disloyalty would be as impossible to him as deception. But even men of the noblest possible moral character are extremely susceptible to the influences of the physical charms of others. Modern, no less than ancient history provides us with many most painful examples of what I refer to. If it were not so, indeed, history would be quite unreadable.
I beg your pardon, Gwendolyn. Did you say Earnest?
Yes.
But it's not Mr. Earnest Worthing who is my guardian. It is his brother, his elder brother.
Ernest never mentioned to me that he had a brother.
I'm sorry to say, they have not been on good terms for a long time.
Ah, that accounts for it. And now that I think of it, I've never heard any man mention his brother. The subject seems distasteful to most men. Cecily, you have lifted a load from my mind. I was growing almost anxious. It would have been terrible if any cloud had come across a friendship like ours, would it not? Of course you are quite sure that it is not Mr. Earnest Worthing who is your guardian.
Quite sure. In fact, I'm going to be his.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, dearest Gwendolyn, there is no reason why I should make a secret of it to you. Our little county newspaper is sure to chronicle the fact next week. Mr. Earnest Worthing and I are engaged to be married.
My darling Cecily, there must be some slight error. Mr. Earnest Worthing is engaged to me. The announcement is sure to appear on the Morning Post on Saturday at the latest.
I'm afraid you must be under some misconception. Ernest proposed to me exactly 10 minutes ago.
It is certainly very curious, for he asked me to be his wife yesterday afternoon at 5:30. If you care to verify the incident, pray do so. I never travel without my diary. One must always have something sensational to read while on the train. I am so sorry, dear Cecily, if it is any disappointment to you, but I'm afraid I have the prior claim.
It would distress me more than I can tell you, dear Gwendolyn, if it caused you any mental or physical anguish. But I feel bound to point out that since Ernest proposed to you, he clearly has changed his mind.
If the poor fellow has been entrapped into any foolish promise, I shall see it as my duty to rescue him at once, and with a firm hand.
What about unfortunate entanglement my dear boy may have got into? I will never reproach him with it after we are married.
Do you allude to me, Miss Cardew, as an entanglement? You are presumptuous. On an occasion of this kind, it becomes more than a moral duty to speak one's mind. It becomes a pleasure.
Do you suggest, Miss Fairfax, that I entrapped Ernest into an engagement? How dare you? This is no time for in the shallow mask of manners. When I see a spade, I pull it a spade.
I'm glad to say that I have never seen a spade. It is obvious that our social spheres have been widely different.
Shall I lay tea here as usual, miss?
Yes, as usual.
in the vicinity, Miss Cardew?
Oh, yes, a great many. From the top of one of the hills quite close, one can see 5 counties.
5 counties? I don't think I should like that. I hate crowds.
I suppose that is why you live in town?
Quite a well-kept garden this is, Miss Cardew.
So glad you like it, Miss Fairfax.
I had no idea there were any flowers in the country.
Oh, flowers are as common here, Miss Fairfax, as people are in London.
Personally, I cannot understand how anybody manages to exist in the country. If anybody who is anybody does. The country always bores me to death.
Ah, this is what the newspapers call agricultural depression, is it not? I believe the aristocracy are suffering very much from it just at present. It's almost an epidemic amongst them, I've been told. May I offer you some tea, Miss Fairfax?
Thank you. Detestable girl, but I require tea.
Sugar?
No, thank you. Sugar's not fashionable anymore.
Cake or bread and butter?
Bread and butter, please. Cake is rarely seen at the best houses nowadays.
Hand that to Miss Fairfax.
You have filled my tea with lumps of sugar. And though I asked most distinctly for bread and butter, you have given me cake. I am known for the gentleness of my disposition and the extraordinary sweetness of my nature. But I warn you, Miss Cardew, you may go too far.
To save my poor innocent trusting boy from the machinations of any other girl, there are no lengths to which I would not go.
From the moment I saw you, I distrusted you. I felt you were false and deceitful. I am never deceived in such matters. My first impressions of people are invariably right.
It seems to me, Miss Fairfax, that I'm trespassing on your valuable time. No doubt you have many other calls of a similar character to make in the neighborhood.
Ernest, my own Ernest. A moment. May I ask if you are engaged to be married to that young lady?
To dear little Cecily? Of course not. How could have put such an idea into your pretty little head?
Thank you, you may.
I knew there must be some misunderstanding, Miss Fairfax. The gentleman whose arm is treasured round your waist is my guardian, Mr. John Worthing.
I beg your pardon?
This is Uncle Jack.
Jack! Oh!
Here is Ernest.
Cecily, my own one.
A moment, Ernest. Are you engaged to be married to this young lady?
To what young lady? Good heavens, Gwendolyn!
Yes, to good heavens, Gwendolyn. I mean, to Gwendolyn.
Of course not. What could have put that idea in your pretty little head?
Thank you. You may.
I felt there was some slight error, Miss Cardew. The gentleman who is now embracing you is my cousin, Mr. Algernon Moncrief.
Algernon Moncrief? Oh! Are you called Algernon?
I cannot deny it.
Is your name really John?
I could deny it if I liked. I could deny anything if I liked. But my name surely is John. It has been John for years.
A gross deception has been practiced on both of us.
My poor wounded Cecily.
My sweet wronged Gwendolyn.
You will call me sister, will you not?
There's just one question I would like to be allowed to ask my guardian.
An admirable idea. Mr. Worthing, there's just one question I would like to be permitted to put to you. Where's your brother Ernest? We are both engaged to be married to your brother Ernest, so it is a matter of some importance to us to know where your brother Ernest is at present.
Gwendolyn, Cecily, it pains me very much to be forced to speak the truth. And I must say that this is the first time in my life that I have ever been placed in such a painful position. But, to speak quite frankly, I must say that I have no brother Ernest. I have no brother at all. I've never had a brother, and I have no intention of ever having one in the future.
No brother at all?
None.
Had you never a brother of any kind?
Never, not even of any kind.
I'm afraid it is quite clear, Cecily, that neither of us is engaged to be married to anyone.
It is not a very pleasant position for a young girl suddenly to find herself in, is it?
Let us go into the house. They will hardly venture to come after us there.
No, men are so cowardly, aren't they?
This ghastly state of things is what you call bunburying, I suppose.
Yes, and a wonderful Bunbury it is. The most wonderful Bunbury I've ever had in my life.
Well, you've no right whatsoever to Bunbury here.
But that's absurd. One has the right to Bunbury anywhere one chooses. Every serious Bunburyist knows that.
Serious Bunburyist? Good heavens.
Well, one must be serious about something if one wants any amusement in life. I happen to be serious about Bunbury. What on earth you are serious about, I haven't the remotest idea. About everything I should fancy. You have such an absolute trivial nature.
The only small satisfaction I have in the whole of this wretched business is that your friend Bunbury is quite exploded. He won't be able to run down to the country quite so often as he used to do, dear Algy.
Well, your brother is a little off-color, isn't he, dear Jack? You won't be able to run up to London quite so frequently as your wicked custom was. And not a bad thing, either.
As for your conduct, Miss Cardew, I must say that you taking in a nice, sweet, innocent girl like that is quite inexcusable. To say nothing of the fact that she is my ward.
I can see no possible defense for you deceiving a clever, brilliant, thoroughly experienced young lady like Miss Fairfax, to say nothing of the fact that she is my cousin.
I wanted to be married to Gwendolen. That is all. I love her.
Well, I wanted to be engaged to Cecily. I adore her.
There is certainly no chance of you being engaged to Miss Cardew.
I don't see there being much likelihood, Jack, of you and Miss Fairfax being united.
Well, it is no business of yours.
Well, if it were my business, I wouldn't talk about it. It is very vulgar to talk about one's business. Only real estate brokers do that, and merely at dinner parties.
How you can sit there, calmly eating muffins when we're in this horrible trouble, I cannot make out. You seem to me to be perfectly heartless.
Well, I can't eat muffins in an agitated manner. The butter would probably get all over my cuff. Everyone who knows me says I eat when I am unhappy. And I'm particularly fond of muffins.
Well, there's no reason for you to eat them all in that greasy way.
Well, I wish you would have some tea cake. I hate tea cake.
Good heavens. I suppose a man may eat his own muffins in his own garden.
Well, I thought you said that was particularly heartless.
I said it was particularly heartless of you under the circumstances. That is a very different thing.
Yes, that is all very well, but I am particularly fond of muffins.
Algy, I wish you would go. I've already asked you to go. Why don't you leave?
Well, I can't leave yet. I haven't had any dinner yet. Perfectly absurd to ask someone to leave without having dinner yet. Only people like vegetarians ever do that, and merely at dinner parties. Besides, I have an arrangement with Dr. Chasuble to be christened at 5:45, under the name of Earnest.
My dear fellow, the sooner you give up that nonsense, the better. I've already made arrangements myself with Dr. Chasuble this morning to be christened myself at 5:30, and I will naturally take the name of Earnest. Gwendolen would wish it. We can't both be christened Earnest. That's absurd. Besides, I have a perfect right to be christened if I like. There's no evidence at all that I've ever been christened by anyone. I think extremely probable that I never was, and so does Dr. Chasuble. It is entirely different in your case. You have been christened already.
Yes, but I haven't been christened for years.
Yes, but you have been christened. That is the important thing.
Quite so. So I know my constitution can stand for it. You, on the other hand, are venturing in very dangerous territory. That is very unwise. It might make one very unhealthy. And I seem to remember someone who is very closely connected to us who was nearly carried off this week in Paris by a severe chill.
Yes, but you said yourself that a severe chill was not hereditary.
Well, it used to be, but Science is always making wonderful advancements.
That is nonsense. Algy, all you ever talk is nonsense.
Jack, you ate the muffins again. I wish you wouldn't. There are only a few left.
Algy, I didn't want you here. I've already asked you to leave. Why don't you go?
Well, I can't leave. I haven't finished my tea, and there are only a few muffins left.